Hi, this is Sam Aronow for the Avocado, and after weeks and weeks of saying that I would do this, I'm finally doing a series on Israeli politics because of the upcoming mayoral elections and then next year the national legislative elections. Now, this coverage is going to be as basic as possible, just technically, because I am making this video series from scratch, but hopefully this will also be basic enough for you, the general global public, to understand. Okay, so we're going to start with some very basic civics of Israeli democracy. Israel is one of the only three countries in the world with no formal constitution, but despite some minor changes, it has always functioned as a unitary parliamentary republic. In this video, I'm going to examine what that means word by word, and in the process explain how these elections work. So first, let's go to the map. In contrast to many Western nations, Israel is not a federation, but a unitary state. The country is divided into 6 mechuzot, provinces, and thence divided into 15 nafot, for which read counties. But these are purely statistical entities and have no autonomy. The national government is the sole lawmaking authority in the land. Lawmaking power in Israel is vested in a 120-member unicameral legislature called the Knesset, located in Jerusalem, whose members are elected by a form of proportional representation called the Bader Ofer system. Rather than voting for local representatives, the electorate is tasked with voting for entire parties, whose members will be allocated based on their share of the national popular vote, provided that share meets a minimum threshold that currently stands at 3.25%, or 4 seats. Smaller parties that risk missing the threshold can form alliances with other blocs to get in, and larger parties can also agree to pool their combined vote totals to avoid getting rounded down and potentially losing a seat. The campaign season typically lasts no more than 3 months, and to facilitate voting, Election Day is a work holiday. It can't coincide with any religious holidays, and it must take place on a Tuesday. All adults holding Israeli citizenship are eligible to vote, but because of the truly arcane balloting system, voting can only take place in person at your local precinct, with special provisions for combat soldiers, prison inmates, embassy and consulate workers abroad, and settlers in the occupied West Bank. 250,000 Israelis living abroad are totally disenfranchised. Every 7 years, the Knesset will appoint someone, usually an elder statesman, to the office of the presidency. Although mostly a ceremonial role, the president is still responsible for issuing pardons, acting as commander-in-chief of the military, and calling for new elections by assent. Most importantly for our purposes, the president must choose a party leader to form a coalition government, usually the leader of the largest party in the Knesset. If the leader is unable to do this within a month, the president will appoint a different party to the task. Whoever successfully forms a coalition usually becomes prime minister, although a coalition agreement can sometimes result in someone else getting the job. Because Knesset seats aren't apportioned geographically, there's no need to form the broad coalitions you find in English-speaking countries, so the partisan layout is very fractured, so much so that no political party in alliance has ever won a majority of the vote. And before we get too deep into this, no, I'm not going to make any overtures towards triskaideka partisanship. It isn't possible. For the same reason, partisanship is very a-regional. One of the woes of the Democratic Party in America is the phenomenon of self-sorting, where people move to areas where their preferred party is more popular and fewer races are competitive. That doesn't really happen here. Partisan geography exists, but it's on the basis of individual towns or even neighborhoods, and even then it isn't so homogeneous as you see in parts of America or Britain. As you might expect from this system, political parties are heavily personality-based and can flit in and out of existence in a matter of years. This problem's gotten even worse over the past 2 decades because of a phenomenon called disalignment. In the old days, the Knesset was dominated by 1 or 2 parties that could be expected to win at least a quarter of the vote, but that's no longer the case, increasingly forcing like-minded parties to campaign against each other rather than their opponents. You might say that the Israeli political system is a system of politics in which everyone can lose, but no one can actually win anymore. And that's where I'll leave you until next time when we discuss the issues that are facing Israeli voters today. For the Avocado, I'm Sam Aronow.